All right. Hey, Flooring Pros, Jerry Levinson, and I'm on with Matt Garcia. We're going to do a little battle on the whole installer myth. Frustrate you even further and call it, this
You're
problem.
triggering me, Jerry. Come on, man. You're
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna dispel the myth and the problems, and we're gonna talk about the solution to the problem that doesn't exist. So now I will acknowledge one thing. So the lack of installers, getting installers, that's a real problem. So I'm not saying that that's not an issue. What I want to address, and I still believe that's not tied in at all to pay, because it's just not even on the menu. I mean, people, regardless of how do you measure the pay when they don't even know that the opportunity exists. So people aren't being presented with the opportunity to become a flooring installer, so they have no idea what the pay is for something they know nothing about. But go ahead, you're going to hit me upside the head with some questions and challenges, so let's have at it.
Yeah, I mean, basically, coming from an installer background and becoming a dealer now, I wanted to change the way that the installers interacted with the dealer, especially from my background of subcontracting. So I've subcontracted in California and Texas, done trainings, all over the nation, talked to installers all over the nation, dealers all over the nation. And there's some common threads that are issues where there's just not the best alignment between installers and retailers, dealers. And so my goal is to really try to advocate to have a better system. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to have the status quo. Research a lot of different trades and see how they've actually come out of the trenches and bettered themselves. And just, looking at all of those elements. And I mean, I love this industry. So I've been in it all my life. My dad, I'm third generation. So I want my kids to be able to thrive in this. And I want them to be able to, I love to install. I love being a dealer too. So it's kind of like, a little bit of a push pull there for me, but that's my background, and that's my goal, really, is to just make this industry better, and shake things up, change it up, and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, I appreciate you taking the time to look at the pros and cons, because I'm not the type of person that just, hey, I'm just one track mind, right? Like, I like seeing different avenues, and really the best way that we're going to make the industry better is to have these conversations. If we just put our head in the sand and we act like, oh, hey, there's we're just status quo, right? I mean, that's why I appreciate your sales training. I mean, you go through and you dispel myths and bring people up and level up their game.
I don't think it is an industry problem, and I don't think it's not a matter of it being our responsibility to make the industry better or not. We're incapable of doing that. One thing, people that want to change the world and make it a better place, well, let's work on your own backyard.
Yeah,
there's not a whole lot you can do industry wide. And I think what happens is people try taking on this big, broad industry challenge, make it an industry challenge, and you're just incapable of doing it. It's too big and broad of an industry. And if you were capable of doing it, then we'd be putting places like set pay in place. Do we want to do that? No. I mean, do we want to have certain standards there? Well, that could also limit people's pay. If you have certain standards in place, somebody that's exceptional, that can also prevent somebody from doing better in their own lives. And you can't improve people's lives who don't want to improve it themselves. That was the point I was making earlier. Like, somebody wants to quit smoking. It's good for their health. They should quit smoking. It's a nasty habit. But how are you going to help somebody quit smoking if they don't want to do it? How are you going to help an installer improve their lives and make more money if they don't show a desire to do so? And that's the
Yeah.
problem. It's like you want to change circumstances for people that aren't looking to change their circumstance.
Well,
So
this
there
is
are a few who
yeah.
are. You can help the ones who are. You can try to attract them. And the way to attract those guys is not by. It's fascinating to me that the people who are jumping on board of this installers are underpaid nonsense are the ones who have changed their own lives. They didn't like the way, they didn't like the circumstances of being a subcontractor. They didn't like it so much that they decided to change the way that they're going to do business. And yet they're still bitching on behalf of the ones who are underpaid. Well, it's not our responsibility as flooring dealers or as a community to make sure that these guys are getting the money that they should. It's their responsibility. They've got to stand up and do some things to earn that money. And it's not necessarily doing a better job. It may be just as simple as a better presentation of how they do their job. Look, I love this challenge because any installer that says they're not getting paid enough, my first question to them is, of the 20 and 30 companies that are within a stone's throw of your area, how many have you called to see what they pay and if they have work? Most of them are none.
Yeah.
Have they made an effort to improve? How are you going to improve somebody's lives that's not going to get out of bed earlier and do something to improve their own life?
Well, you're talking to somebody that actually has been through all that. So I can give you firsthand experience of what that's like and where I think we can improve. And the thing is, I don't agree with the premise that you can't change the industry, because I've looked at other industries that specifically changed their business models and the wages went up significantly. Okay. We have other examples of trades.
Give me a good example.
You can look at
a good example of an industry.
Plumbers and electricians. Okay. Their trade work. There's really
and how did they change that? Is that by becoming union organized?
No,
how did they change that industry?
Mostly training and professionalism.
Were they a subcontractor model before and then they changed to in-house and employees?
Yeah, for the most part. Like if you look at industry surveys, you'll find that plumbers and HVAC have, or I should put it this way, flooring has 3 times more amount of subcontractors as compared to employees as those other trades. So those other trades are significantly less, or significantly more in-house.
That's fascinating. And part of the challenge with this is some of the other concepts and things that we're going to argue about, because part of the challenge is that the flooring dealer themselves don't have enough consistent, steady work to make a guy in-house. Sometimes they need 5 crews in a week. Sometimes they need 1. So it's hard to bring people in-house when you don't have the consistency of work for them to do. Look, there's nothing about our industry that's ever consistent, and you can make the argument with HVAC and you can make the argument with HVAC and plumbing that there's some sort of consistency with the level of work they're getting, that they can get a certain level of work and add contractors on. With us,
I don't think
it's all over the
it's
board.
either or. So like you can have your in-house employees and then you're going to have your subcontractors. I'm not saying that there's no place for subcontractors. What I'm saying is there's a balance there. And I know plenty of companies that are fully in-house that are, and I know a lot of companies that aren't fully in-house, and I mean, there's just a big spectrum that you can go. And that's kind of what I want to propose is some of these other types of business models that are more successful in trade work that kind of benefits everybody. Because I'm really not a person that just theorizes. I'm really looking at what other companies have or other industries have done and what other companies are doing within our industry and using best practices. And I'm just going, hey, there's way better models than the status quo that flooring dealers have kind of gravitated towards, and we're getting outpaced. It's just we're just flat out getting outpaced. It is not. I did some numbers. So 20 years ago when I started, this is in California, I was getting 275 a foot to install wood flooring, subcontractor, right? If it kept up with inflation, I should be making 450 in California. So my brother's still there, still working for the same shops. He's gotten it up to like 350. Okay.
Wow.
It's just not even close to keeping up with the pace of inflation. And the thing is there is a problem there, right? And I'm not saying that we're just going to fix it in one fell swoop. What I'm saying is we look at other industries and what they have done to correct the problem and just create a situation where we're all winning. Like I said, it's more than just business to me. Like I want my kids to be able to be in this industry and us, turn the tide on some of these things so that by the time they get into it, my kids are young, they get into it, it'll be maybe not perfect, probably, but a better place.
Here's the other challenge with changing and the way that the conversation is going in the narrative. It starts by insulting the flooring dealer, the business owner, who is underpaying and underappreciating. You evil, rotten bastards are not paying these poor installers who work their ass off enough, and they deserve more. Good luck with that argument. I don't know about you, but as a flooring dealer, I get tired of that shit. And there's a lot of them that get tired about being lectured that they're not taking good care of people. And a lot of them are taking good care, but they're getting lumped into this pool of people who aren't. There's another concept to this where, look, a lot of these, I'm coaching, I'm working with a lot of these flooring dealers. I talk to them on a daily basis, and there's a lot of them who aren't charging enough money, because they don't fully understand how to run their business. Some of them are struggling. We had, I think, 3 companies in the last month who went out of business or who are going out of business here in Arizona. So, talk about underpaying installers. There's installers that aren't going to get paid for the work they did because these companies are going out of business. Because they're not charging enough. They don't know how to run their business. They don't know how to run the margins. So
I would never propose what you're saying, though. Like I would never go if we want to change the industry, I would never say, hey, you guys are assholes, you guys need to raise your prices. What I'm proposing is a way that they can actually make more money. And this is where it ties in with you, is understanding sales training and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So if you invest into your installers, right, and they are upping their game, one of the biggest issues with our industry is manufacturers going straight to the source, right? They want to cut out the distributors and they want to cut out the retailers, right? I mean, everything's moving that way. It's like the Amazon mentality, right? And the thing is the more product-based you are, I think that it's going to just get more and more difficult. If you add in good products, a good presentation, customer service, and top-notch service with the installation all the way through, I think that those are the companies that are going to thrive as products get more difficult to push.
Exactly. And that's the whole point of what I'm saying. There's companies who are going to do better. Those are ones that are interested in having a better business. They're going to seminars, they're paying for coaching, they're learning, they're trying, they have weekly meetings, they're making a greater effort to do things better and learn how to sell higher. And then there's the vast majority who are competing on price. So they're not only cutting their throats on material, they're cutting their throats on labor. You know how many people I talk to that don't make a profit on labor? They pass that money along to the installer, or they take a small percentage of the money they change on labor because they don't understand. There was this thinking from a lot of dealers that you shouldn't make money on labor. Like the installers were somehow, you shouldn't make money on the backs of your installers, which, I never could understand that. Why wouldn't you? If you're providing the service, you're the one warranting and standing behind it. You're bringing that labor to them, whether it's a subcontractor or an employee. Why wouldn't you make money on the installation? It's the same thing. Any service or product or good that you're providing a customer, you should make a profit on.
Yeah, totally.
But there's a lot of flooring dealers who aren't doing that. So the narrative of not paying the installers enough, that they're greedy, they're selfish, or this and that. And I'm telling you, you might not be saying that, but that's the conversation.
Yeah.
that is constantly being had. And again, it's the guys who are doing well and getting paid well or gone on their own retail that are still arguing on behalf of those who aren't.
Well, see the thing is, what I don't understand is, because I'm not against subcontractors, right? Because this is kind of where the question comes in for you, is a lot. You made the comment that installers want to stay busy for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Like they're less worried about pay. But to me, that contradicts with the idea that you got to stay busy to keep them with you, not necessarily pay. But then you're saying, oh well, we need subcontractors because we can't keep them all busy. And to me, I'm just kind of going, well, who loses there, right? It's the installers. Like,
If I'm running a business,
so,
I got to
yeah, I
look at
gotta
what's
be
in
loyal
my
to
best
you,
interest
you
for my
can't-
business.
Yeah.
How am I going to?
Off.
It's not sustainable to bring them in-house because I can't keep them busy enough. So they're subcontractors, so I can hire them as I have the need. They also have the ability to work for other companies. So I'm competing for them. Now, if I want them, part of the way of getting them is with higher prices. I can offer them higher prices, but I've also gone after labor and gone after people that are working for Home Depot, working for Empire, offered them more money, but they're kept busy with those companies. So they don't want to risk losing that work over higher pay.
Yeah.
I've seen it firsthand. I mean, how the hell is it that Empire and Home Depot get people to work for them? Because they're not paying them well. They're using a company that charges, say, $1.50, and they're paying the installer an hourly wage or something that isn't even equivalent to what they'll get if they work for a store.
I'm not 100% sure on that. I actually know some people that have worked for Lowe's, and I know they've changed their business models a bit, but Lowe's, at least at one point, was paying more than your average retailer. So, I mean, I don't know if I 100% buy into that. Because just like I said, I mean, I see some inconsistencies there where it's kind of like, if you can't keep an installer busy that you're trying to attract, like, and the rates are not there, of course they're not going to go to you, because I mean, the rates would have to balance out. The dealer wants to demand a level of loyalty, right? But then they say, well, you're a subcontractor, so if we don't have work for you, sorry. To me, there's just there is an issue there.
Yeah, but it's not a choice. It's not like we demand. I mean, if it were up to us as retailers, we'd be busier than hell. We'd be busy as Empire, Home Depot, Lowe's. But it's not like it's some kind of choice that we have. It's like installers complain about the jobs they get at some time. It's like, I'm not getting nothing but good jobs here. I mean, sometimes we get some shitty work in. That's got to be done too. I'm sorry. I can't pick and choose for you which jobs you get. And every installer feels like they're shortchanged and they get shitty jobs. I mean, I'm sorry, we can't do that. So I don't understand the mentality of treating them like an employee or treating them like a subcontractor. What's the distinction there? How is the way I communicate with them different as an employee versus a subcontractor, that there's any distinction or difference? I don't care who the person is doing the labor. I expect them to do a good job. And by doing a good job, I mean communication too. I mean, calling that customer if you're running late. I mean, communicating with the store and the salespeople if something's missing or something's wrong, or, being professional, not bad mouthing the company, So there are things that it is required to be a good installer or a great installer that really don't have to do with the work. The work is, there's no option on being good or not. You got to do the job right.
Well, so this brings up my next point. Okay. So how come salespeople are not subcontractors? I mean, how come they don't have to rent office space?
They actually were subcontractors. And until they changed the laws, they were subcontractors. A lot of people had salespeople as 1099, and then they changed the law. They said, if you make a business card, you tell them when to go to work, where to go to work, what time, you set the hours. they're an employee. So those laws dramatically changed. They started cracking down on it. So all the salespeople went from a 1099 to W-2 at some point.
So, I mean, does it hurt the store to do that? Or is it,
To make them an employee?
Well, what I'm getting at is salespeople's pay has kept up with inflation because it's locked into the commission percentage, right?
Sure.
So what I'm getting at is that they're kind of got a nice setup there.
But they're
like,
not, they're not equal.
Extend that to
I'm
I mean,
sorry, they're not, salespeople and
get it.
installers aren't equal. They're different jobs. And it's not to say one deserves more than the other, but they're different jobs. You can't make them equivalent. You don't pay the people the same for fog and a mirror.
No, what I'm
I mean,
saying is
with the salesperson gets paid based on their performance. So if you got a crappy salesperson, he's not getting paid as good as a rock star. So the salesperson, their pay, especially commission, and everybody should be set up on a commission-based structure. But, you know, I don't know where this myth is that the salespeople get treated like gold and the installers get treated like shit. The installers get paid for the work they're doing. The salespeople get paid based on what they sell for their success.
You're missing the point though. What I'm getting at is, so, okay, so the subcontractor installer, right? He has to handle insurance, workers' comp, bookkeeping, job costing, HR, benefit packages, etc. Like, so he's got this mountain of responsibility as a subcontractor to do all that, right? And the sales, and then the dealer thinks, okay, well, they're a subcontractor, they're a different company, so I don't need to invest into any education or training for them, right? Whereas the salespeople, it's like, oh yeah, you know, let's train them, let's make them better, what they do, let's make them successful, because if they're successful, we're successful. And I just don't understand, like, we have this facade of a label of a subcontractor for an installer. And it's like, okay, you're cut off from all of that, even though we know all of those things work, right? If you got a salesperson, you gave them no training, you gave them no education, you know, and then you expected them to do all the business side that they don't have to do. So what I'm getting at is there's just this mountain of responsibility to run a legitimate subcontracting company for a dealer, right, that actually has all the office staff to take care of all that stuff. The installer is expected to work all week long to make their wage, right? And then what, evenings and weekends is to do all that mountain of paperwork and making sure your insurances are good and shopping insurances. And I just, to me, I'm just going, man, that's just a ridiculous standard to hold, you know, your installers to.
You decided to open your business. Who's looking out for you? All the stuff you have to do, who's making sure like you can pay your bills on time and that you don't file bankruptcy and that you have all your shit together and you're able to hire people, train them? Who's looking out for you? It's your business, right?
Look, my installers don't have to do any of that.
But they're installers.
I have an office staff, Gary. I have an office staff. I have somebody hired that can take care of all of that stuff.
When you opened your business, did you start off with an office staff or did you build up to that?
I built up to it.
If I remember right, your office staff was your mother.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, my wife, and my wife, yeah.
Okay, you had to build up to it.
Yeah.
You know,
my mom.
We all have to build up to it. You know what? We all have to build up to it. And did you build up to it because you were interested in growing your business?
Well, I would have never been able to do that as an installer. I would never. I mean, I would have had to run like a significantly huge like operation to be able to do that. That's actually my point. Is it just that I had to build it up to this point? Because this is the thing. I had to build it up to be a full-on dealer to make it worth it. I tried all the different in-between options and it does not work. There's just the pay just does not justify the mountain of that, right? So that's why I've restructured my company. So I had to grow up big enough to be able to justify all that and scale up to it. But this is the thing. Very few subcontractors are cut out for the business end. It's like you're cut from a different cloth, right? Why can't they just focus on trade work, what they're good at, and not have to do all this other, administrative stuff that they're not good for when we have an office and a staff to do it? That's my point. The dealer is so much more well suited to to operate that way. And they do that for their salespeople. They take care of all that back end stuff.
I think you give the dealers a lot more credit than they deserve, because a lot of the dealers aren't as equipped as you believe they are, especially when it comes to the small dealers, the people doing under $2 million, $3 million. They don't have office staff. They're hustling. Sometimes they don't have salespeople. They are the salespeople. Sometimes they're loading up the truck themselves. They're loading up the installers. They're wearing all these hats. They don't have the proper insurance. They're not paying taxes the right way. They're struggling with the business side of it because it's complicated. It's tough. So for everybody, it is difficult. But if you have a system and a process, and that's the thing is when they hire me, I develop systems and processes for them, help them use things like Floors app. I help them with that business structure and all that. The only ones that hire me are not the people that need me. They're the people that want me and they have a desire to grow. The only installers that are going to get help are the ones that have a desire to change their own lot in life. You know, it's not anybody's responsibility. And we've talked about this before. It's their responsibility. It's our opportunity. So going to flooring dealers with a specific program that's laid out, that makes sense, that provides those installers, you know, somebody wants to develop that kind of program, then that's something that could be sold to flooring dealers or sold to installers. If you give it to them, they're not going to use it. It has to be sold to them. So people don't do things that come free. So they just don't, because we got all this free advice on YouTube. So everybody's not dramatically improving their situation with free videos. But when they pay for information, they'll do better. So as I see it, the opportunity is as some kind of coach or mentor to develop and create a very specific system that's easy to follow and use. Look, that's what I was getting at with the installation incentive program. You know, that's what I was talking about, is that whiteboard. I don't know why the hell that's supposedly insulting to put somebody's name on a whiteboard and keep score. You know, and people say, you don't do that for your salespeople. Goddamn right I do it for my salespeople. You know, every weekly meeting, we put the numbers out there. Here, you're doing good. You're doing terrible. Let's get your numbers up. You know, everybody chase this asshole because you don't like him. So you want to do better than him, you know, and it's fun. So when you put the score up there for the installers, you start getting that professionalism. You start getting the understanding of the business side of it. They start taking more pride in their work, you know, and this is one of the biggest problem with installers that I have is the installers are going and blowing and they're not taking the time to take pride in their work. Some of them do amazing jobs and they don't understand the work that they're doing and the fact that they should take pride in it. And they don't have an understanding of what it means to that customer, the stuff that they've done. So with the installation incentive program, not only are they getting bonuses, they're getting their name mentioned in a review. That is impactful to them. You know, don't you want to enjoy your work and enjoy what you're doing? But somehow that came across as demeaning and insulting. How the hell is that demeaning or insulting? And I never said that you don't pay people more. I said, it's not about the pay. And I believe this not only for installers, I believe this across the board. People do not work for money. They work for obligation. They work to get things done. The money is a reward for what you've done. So, but they're not driven by money. And I've had so much evidence of that. You know, I'll take your salespeople. If I have a salesperson that is doing fantastic and by the month ends on a Thursday, they're in the bonus. So I say, hey, I'll extend the month to you till Saturday. So anything you do up until Saturday, I'll pay you the bonus on. You think they get more sales? I've never had a salesperson get more sales when I extend the month for them. You know, people do not work for money. It's weird. They work for obligation. They work for pride. You know, if they did work for money, it'd be hard to keep anybody because they'd always be chasing more money.
Yeah, I mean, we are seeing that more. I mean, job turnover is higher than it's ever been. So, I mean, that is becoming more of a thing. I don't know. I don't really completely agree with you on that. I did a lot of hopping around to get better pay. And really, ultimately, I had to just sell my own jobs to get it. And that's what's frustrating for me is you're saying that this stuff can't be done, and I'm literally doing it in my own company. I have employees that are motivated. We have a bonus structure. We compensate them for skill level. The other thing that you mentioned is crappy jobs. There should be no such thing as a crappy job, right? Like, you charge for the time it takes to do a difficult job more than it takes to do an easy slam dunk job. You know what I mean? It's just, there's so many cures for all these things that people think are problems. And we're literally curing it, like, in our company. Because I'm like, okay, well, that's stupid. Why is there a bad job? There should not be a bad job, right? There's
That's
just
the
some
point.
jobs that
The
take more
problems,
time and require more pay to get the job done in the time allotted. See, that's the thing with, like, me running in-house, is I have to job cost and I have to know what stuff costs me, right? So it literally, I'm not just saying, oh, hey, you're going to take a loss on this one, but the next one's going to be great. Like, I don't have the option to do that, right? Like, it will cost me more to do the job, right? And I want my guys to make bonuses. Like, the whole idea is that we're motivating each other. And that's the thing that I don't understand why you can't get on board with, is, creating a culture that we all thrive together, right? That we invest into training. Like, I care about you as an installer a lot, right? You're my buddy, okay? We're gonna figure out how to maximize what you do and what I do, so that we both win. I just don't understand why, we have this divide where we're the salespeople, they're on the side of the dealer. We're gonna just rally together and make each other's lives better. But it's like, the installer, it's like, well, yeah, no, they're a subcontractor, so you can't invest in that, this and that for them. When it's like, they're people, like, they got families and all this stuff. I'm just going, why do we make it like a us versus them thing with the installers, especially? It's like, no, like, we can all thrive to win. And I'm living it out. I'm going, this is not that complicated. We just all got to be on the same team, and we have to have a structure. I mean, I'm having to invent the structure because it's like what you said. Well, I'm not inventing it. I'm taking other companies and I'm modeling after them, and kind of taking, like, the best of what I see, subcontractor models, in-house models, bonus systems, adjusting for skill levels and all that. And I'm combining it into one structure. I'm just going, this is lame that we just act like installers got to fend for themselves, pull them up by the bootstraps. It's like, it's a win-win situation. Why not see your people thrive and fight for that? Like, it's not hard. It's actually fun.
yeah, hang on one second, okay? Okay, we're back. So just conceptually, it's not a matter of me not getting on board. I'm just saying that it is more of a up to individual companies that have a desire to make that change. So the way it's done is reaching out to specific customers. There's never going to be an industry exception of the way things should be done. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by how many different ways that people operate. Just talking about how you pay salespeople, it's all over the board. Do you pay them weekly? Do you pay them monthly, bi-monthly? Do you pay them commission? Do you pay them salary plus commission? Do you give them a guaranteed minimum straight salary? It is all over. There's hardly two companies doing things the same way. So, and throughout this whole industry, when you talk about suppliers, in a lot of industries, suppliers have suggested retail prices that you can get discounts out of. Not in this. And not only that, the pricing for wholesale pricing is all over the board. So, and it's dramatically less for the Home Depot, Lowe's, and big companies who buy a lot of stuff. So we're competing on those levels as well. So how we operate and how we compete for these people, it's on the companies who want to be better. And it's funny, in the comments and threads, there are people like you that, yeah, I have a system. We've solved this problem for ourselves. So there's various people between flooring dealers and installers that have figured it out, but they're figuring it out for themselves. Now, all the same, you can hand them a system on a golden platter, or create a system and make it a pay for it. And that's how I'm telling you that you got to make the change if you want to see a change. But it's not going to be an industry change. It's going to be some people that want to change things for the better. But where I get pissed off of the whole narrative of just this greedy flooring store owner who has all the money in the world and doesn't struggle. Somebody just said it, well, it's easy for you. I'm not rich like Jerry, as if I never struggled, as if
Yeah.
I didn't file bankruptcy, as if I didn't, I don't have sleepless nights and worry about money and worry about different things. I worked my ass off to get where I am, and I'm still working hard, so none of us have it easy. We got to make an effort to get where we want to go. But it starts with your desire, not your education, not your knowledge. It starts with your desire. Do you want to improve your life? And that's the thing with the installers. We bitch on behalf of installers that aren't looking for ways to improve their life. How do you make these guys want to improve? And I've heard from 2 experienced installers who are working harder that agreed with me, that are saying, yeah, I can't get these guys to a meeting, a mastermind meeting, a sales class. I can't get them to change.
I think it's
They're
the
not
culture. It's the culture, right? The dealer can set the culture because they have the most power in the company. And I mean, this is the thing. It's kind of like we did. I mean, it's not really too much of a conundrum because, there can be a better way to align things and letting the installers work in their strengths and let the dealers work in their strengths, right? And I don't see why there has to be this friction there. I mean, a lot of this stuff is not hard to solve, right? It's just a matter of changing your mindset and creating more of a win-win opportunity for the installers. Because this is the thing, yeah, if your installers don't want to learn and grow, it's probably a culture issue in your company, right? Like you can set the tone of your company to be better, and that's the thing with, because this is the thing. So I just gave you that example about how far off pace installation is with inflation, right? Do you think that happened by accident? No, it's because of a poor system and process. It just, that status quo has legitimately hurt. So when you see that installers are bitching, you think that I mean, it's legitimate that they're not keeping up with inflation. Okay, that is you're acting like it's not an actual problem when the numbers show this is a problem. We're going the wrong way. We should be fighting to go up with inflation, especially. And okay, this is something you've mentioned, that everything's skyrocketing in prices, but yet installation staying stagnant. It's come up a little bit since the pandemic, but it hasn't even come close to correcting. All it did was just nudge it like halfway to where it should have been.
I think it's insane. I agree. Yeah. I think it's insane. But
how do you fix it, Jerry? Though that's ridiculous. You can't expect installers to not be upset when this is happening.
I don't care if they're upset. I don't care if you're upset. If you're not going to do anything for yourself, then the bitching isn't working. That's what I'm saying. Bitching is not a solution to your problem. It doesn't get you where you want to go. They've been bitching for years. And not only that, 95% of society complains about that they don't make enough money. So they're just like a lot of the rest of the people who aren't willing to work harder to get where they want to go because they don't have a strong enough desire. Our society is made up of employees who don't have a desire to get in your position. We have leaders and we have followers, and there's always going to be less leaders than there are followers. That's just the makeup of our society. It's normal. Okay.
Yeah, but
and it's normal for everybody to bitch about it. And it's not our job to lift people up. You can't want things for people more than they want for themselves. And I've experienced that. It frustrates the hell out of me. Look, I can't tell you how many times I've offered to talk to somebody and they don't make the goddamn phone call. All right. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a store and I saw somebody who is fantastic. It's like, dude, you are a salesperson. What are you doing behind the counter? Here's my number. Give me a call. I can't make that guy call. I can talk to those installers all day long about this stuff. I can't make them do that. I can't make them give up a couple days work to go to training. I can't make them do things and push them in areas that they don't want to be pushed. Now, one of our top installers, when it came time for him to go to Disneyland, we got him tickets for the whole thing. We as an individual company took care of our installers, and there's individual companies all over that take good care of installers. So again, one of the things that arguments that was made was I hate when people say shit like this. We don't need you, you need us. and we're the most important people there.
I don't like
I'm
to be-
sorry. Well, if you don't need us, then why are you coming to work? I mean, if you don't need the job, if you don't need the business, then why are you coming to work at a pay that you don't like? So that's just a silly attitude to have. And, so
But why are you?
it starts with them.
Are you against promoting ways to correct that though? That's what I don't understand. I'm literally proposing ideas to correct this, and it's like you're shooting it down.
I'm
if you
against
can't
the
solve whole
narrative.
industry, then there's no sense in trying. I'm like,
Right.
no,
No,
like industries change all the time. I don't understand this concept that it can't change. I'm like, if there is a better opportunity, people will gravitate towards it, but it doesn't start because, I mean, if nobody does anything, then yeah. But if we have these conversations and we start, offering better business models and ways of doing things, like, yeah, it does. We're literally changing it in our own company. I know you said that that's how it works, but what I'm saying is that's how everything changes, right? Like it can change for the worse, like it has, right? Or it can
and if you want to take that a step further, then I'm telling you the way that path is done is by other individual companies. And this is part of marketing and sales. You have to name your process. You have to simplify it, dumb it down, show how it can be done, how other people can implement it, how they can be successful using that program. And for a lot of these guys, they have to raise their prices. And I'm going to tell you, the one thing that's scarier than anything for people is raising their prices. They say that people's number one fear in life is public speaking. It's not, it's raising their prices. So if I talk to somebody about raising their prices and I show them higher prices, man, their heart starts racing. They get into cold sweats. They think they're going to lose all their business. They think all the customers know what the prices are when they come in the door. So it scares them to death. Some of them don't pay installers more because they don't know how. They don't know how to raise their price so they can afford to pay the installers more. So it's not just paying the installers more, it's running your business a different way. It's a kind of an all-encompassing package.
Yeah.
And
No,
it's
I
only
totally
going to help the
that.
people
Yeah.
that want to do it. Hey, how do you get more business? You got to do some marketing. You got to spend some money. You know how many people aren't willing to spend a dime on marketing and they complain about a $300 website? A lot of them do. So somebody that's not willing to spend, $4 or $5 grand a month on marketing and not growing their business is also scared to raise their prices. They're hustling and they're trying to be cheaper than everybody else. When the retailer doesn't know how to run the business, and this starts with the installers, because a lot of the installers transition into the retailers and they're underpaying installers because they don't know how to run the business. They don't know how to charge a retail price for the installation. So if you were charging $1.50 wholesale, you can't start charging $2. You got to start charging $3. Well, now they feel like they're ripping customers off. So it's hard for them to get it in their head. I call it GOIT, get off your knees, in a whole program I put together to help installers transition to retailers. And it's one of the toughest transitions that those guys make.
Oh yeah,
now they got to charge twice as much.
I've been doing it, so you're absolutely right. I mean, that's why I've enjoyed all the advice that you've given us. Because I'm having to learn how to sell all that value. I mean, I'm very strong on the installer side, and that's why I'm advocating for it. But it's like I needed everything that you had to offer to make sure that I can sell it. Because you can be the best in the world, but if you don't know how to sell it, you're gonna probably struggle. And so, but I mean, I'm just trying to take. Honest, I mean, I'm totally on board with you. I just, I think that what you're saying is exactly right about all that. I just think that I don't see why it's such a leap to imply everything that you just said. I don't see the leap on how we can extend that to the installers, you know what I mean, as like part of our team. Like I'm just like, wow, that sounds totally awesome. Why can't you sell that value?
It's not a leap, but it's got to be done individually. It can't be done collectively. They're not going to get on board
yeah.
as collectively as a group, and it's got to be the ones that have a desire to change. Because I could tell you some of the things I would do as an installer. If I was an installer, I would create a presentation, much like I do a sales presentation.
Yeah.
I would show people why to use me and give them a rate that's higher. And I
Yeah.
would make sure that the customers give proper feedback that made that company want to use me more. And if I needed to, I would instruct that company, when you're using me, you need to charge a little bit higher prices, but I'm worth it. And the experience is going to be worth it. So this might be a gold standard experience. There's a way to do anything. Look, all these problems are opportunities. So,
Oh, yeah.
but they're only opportunities for those that seek to improve their lives. They're not opportunities for those that want to sit back and complain about their lot in life. So
Yeah.
I don't reject any of the ideas. I reject the narrative, and I reject the way that it's presented, because it's not presented as a good solution. It's presented as a bitch, a gripe, a complaint,
Yeah.
to how things are. The video I put out was met with instant criticism about, oh yeah, it's about the pay. Because what did I say? I said, this is not about the pay. And I've been around the block enough to know what installers want. But the reality is if you put together a system like I'm talking about, that's the kind of company that's also going to pay more. They're not looking for ways to do it cheap.
Yeah.
If the kind of effort it takes to keep score and to help get more 5-star reviews, that kind of effort is not done to somebody that wants to look to pay installers less. Okay. It's done to people that want to improve the lives, because part of that is giving bonuses to the installers.
Well, yeah. And this is what I'm proposing, if we could create more of a system where installers can do what they do best, install, okay, and alleviate a lot of the business office side of it, that's going to fit way better for the vast majority of subcontractors, because they're good at the work, they suck at the business. Okay. There's going to be, I don't know, maybe a fraction of those people that rock at the business and rock at the trade. And they're probably going to either become a dealer, or they're going to become a large custom installation company, or a large, you get what I mean? But we're talking the vast majority that have 1 or 2 employees, right? There's such a massive efficiency loss. That's one of the things that I have realized transitioning from a subcontractor to a dealer with in-house, is my guys can stay on the tools. I was losing so much time trying to take care of all the things that a dealer could do 100 times better than me as an installer. And I'm just going, wow, like there's no reason why the dealer cannot capitalize on that efficiency. Okay. The efficiency gain on allowing the installer to focus on the trade is pretty significant, right? So that's probably a lot of where the dealers that think that they can't charge more for the installation. Well, if you have a retail price for an installation and you have an efficiency gain, that's a significant chunk right there. But what it is, a lot of these dealers, they don't capitalize on that, right? And so there is no efficiency gain, because they're expecting the installers to run a full-on company, legitimately, with insurances and all that kind of stuff. And it's just, to me, it's asinine. Why do it that way? It's ridiculous.
That could be a double-edged sword, and I'll tell you why. Because if I'm in-house taking care of all these tasks and things that installers do, then I might also be paying them a little bit less, because now I'm taking on all these tasks in-house to do. So that might actually backfire. Well, no, we
do that. So my guys are responsible.
But your guys are in-house.
To buy zero. My guys have to buy nothing.
Yeah, but your guys are in-house. They're not subcontractors.
Yes.
So there's a different dynamic to in-house. Do you pay them contract, or do you pay them hourly?
They're hourly with bonus. So we basically we budget the job, and whatever they come in under budget, if they meet, as long as they meet our quality standards within the company, then they get the rest of it. So they're actually paid a mixture of piecework and hourly. So they know that I put in the hours, I get the pay, but one employee, it might take them significantly longer to do the same work, and other people are more
And
efficient. And they're paid on skill level too. So it's a mix of skill level and time on the project and their quality standards that equal their bonus.
which sounds like a nightmare to figure out.
No, it's super easy. We have a spreadsheet. We put in like 3 or 4 numbers, and it figures all that out for us. All of it.
Okay,
All
so
complexity, everything. We literally just put in, I would say 5 numbers that we already have tracked in our software. We just transfer those probably 5 numbers, and it adjusts for skill level, how many hours they have the job. I can mix all of my guys on different jobs, and the bonuses will pay out fairly equally based off of how much time they put on it and their skill level.
what software are you using?
We are using projects in QuickBooks, Measure Square, and we develop our own spreadsheets for the bonus system.
Just in Excel?
Yes.
So that could be packaged up and sold as a system to other flooring stores
I might go that
who
way.
want to try to do it in-house and look to improve the lives of installers and provide a better customer experience.
Well, I'm actually getting a spreadsheet guy in here, and he's going to professionalize it more, so that it is, basically kind of dummy proofed. And I mean, like I said, we're still working out the kinks on it, but I mean, I would be totally open to it, because I'm going, geez, people act like this is a nightmare. You should be tracking all those numbers anyways. And it's literally, we've got it dialed into just a few numbers that we readily have available. And it's like,
how long did it take you to get there?
We can actually rate their skill level, right? And they're going to get a bigger share. Huh?
How long did it take you to get there?
Well, it took me about 2 years of thinking about how it could work, because I could never figure it out. And then it dawned on me one day. Well, actually, what I did is I got in some mastermind groups with other companies that had some pretty nice bonus structures that run larger in-house companies. And I'm going, oh crap, this is freaking awesome. And what I did is that I tweaked a few things to adjust for some of the things like skill level and basically, so now we have basically, now you have a career path within the company as an installer. You can see, okay, at this level, I make this, at this level, I make this. I get more bonus as I gain my skills, right? And so we can actually adjust and give them that carrot on the end of the stick that helps them to career, and it motivates them. They're like, man, I want to get to this next. I want to do this. And if I get this quality standard, I get this. And it's just, it's really not that hard to implement.
I know, but it took a lot of work for you to get there. I mean, I'm fascinated all the time. Like, I only started in the flooring business in 2015. I haven't been doing this my whole life. And when I look for things that are dumbed down, make it simple, make it sexy, make it fun for the salespeople, and make it good for the customer to make an easy buying decision. There were no systems out there that made it easy. Like, I created my own spreadsheet, and I do this for all my customers. I did it for somebody before this call. I was on a coaching call and help them create pricing for carpet. So if it's this much wholesale, it's this much per square foot retail, and that includes furniture move, tear out, Dumbo spray, it includes everything that you need to do that job. So like that, but those systems have to be developed by people like us, and then sold or shared to other people to make their lives easier. So you put the system together. How many people have developed the system before you, but they haven't really packaged it in a way that could be sold and could be taught to flooring dealers? Like that system, exactly. I could probably sell all day long. But I also think for that system, it almost like would need to be broken down by the product too, because I would imagine that it's different for, and maybe it's not, but different for tile and carpet and hardwood and
the way I'm doing it. Yeah, you can extend it to everything the way that I'm doing it, because it's based off of percentages of the sale. It's almost like how you pay a salesperson. You know that you're going to pay them this much. The store's still going to make the profit. It basically allows the store to. That's the nice thing about subcontractors. You say, here's the price. I can count on it. I could put whatever percentage or margin I want on it. Right? It's the same way, but an employee model, right? it basically says, hey, this is your opportunity here. We're going to help you get there through this bonus structure, and we're actually going to give you the education tools to further yourself. But we know that the store is only going to pay so much for the project.
Yeah, well, boy, when you say percentage of sale, that makes me cringe. So I'd have to vet that one out, because that can go up or down based on the sale amount and based on where you're at. So does that
Yeah, but
consider the
it's the same thing
margins?
for installers. I mean, for salespeople, they get the same percentage no matter what.
No, that's not true. It's based on the margins.
But you could do the same if you want. You could do the same thing with the install too.
Yeah. Well, and again,
but you're just making it off of a budget. The numbers are the same no matter which way you put it. Like, you know, I'm just saying, yeah, you can tweak it, but you can tweak it the exact same way that you do for a salesperson to make sure that the store makes the profit every single time that they do the job.
And again, I don't look at those two as the same at all. And I don't think there's anything about those two that should be the same. Other maybe they're getting the check from the same company. So they're two dramatically different jobs. And
I don't think
the installer to get.
No, you're not understanding.
Follow me here.
It's based off of the labor amount, not the whole job. It's the labor amount. We know how much we have in overhead. We know how much we need in profit. We know how much the sales commission is going to be, right? And you can lock it in whatever percentage it is, but it's just on the labor portion. It's not part of the sales. It's the same way that you pay a subcontractor. It's just that we're creating.
It'd be interesting to look at, because I just feel like, you know, you've got this amount of work, they should get paid for the work that they're doing. And it should be a factor of a percentage of the job.
I want to make sure that you understand this. Okay, so let's say that you have a project, a subcontractor, and you're going to pay them $3,000 for the project, right? Okay,
yeah,
that's how you would do it, right? Or you're going to assume that you're going to pay $3,000 for a project, right? If that's what's on their work order, correct?
Yeah. It's
the same thing. We're working with the same pool of money. It's just that we're doing it through an employee hourly structure with bonuses. So it's the same idea that's how much we're going to pay for that project. So what I'm getting at is it's the same process. It's just that you're going to make, if you're subcontracting, except you're applying it to an in-house hourly structure.
Okay, let's wrap this up. And so in conclusion, you owe the industry your system, process, named, explained, provided, or a price, and we push it out there, and maybe some people can, what do you call it, like do a pilot test. And
yeah, I would
try
to
implement within their system to see how it works, and then we package it up within another program or system so they can.
Yeah, I'm already sharing it with other companies right now to apply it, work out their kinks and stuff like that. It's just like
that's good for marketing.
Yeah, well, it's just like what you said. I need to dumb it down. So like we're used to all the way it works, so we can navigate something that seems more complex. Now, that's the next step that I'm working on, is simplifying it down so that anybody could just jump on it. Go, oh yeah, well that's easy. We can plug in these numbers, blah blah.
All right, so you guys can vote. Who won the argument? Matt, me, or the installers? So. I'll never argue for them against making more money. I think everybody should make as much money as they can, you know, so command the highest pay that you absolutely can. I just advocate for other ways to go about it, because the complaining about the flooring dealer is not working. And, you know, that's not a way to improve your life if you're a flooring installer, you know. And there are people out here willing to help you. Matt is. All you got to do is call, you know, so don't be sit back whining and saying there's nothing you could do, because that's bullshit. That's, you know, you can do something about your life.
I can get on board with that.
Okay. All right. Sounds good, buddy. So good conversation.
All right.
We'll talk to you later. All right.
Bye.